Hello and welcome to this very special edition of Not Exactly Somewhere in Waldo County, Somewhere in Knox County, because today we're doing sort of like a winter special. We're at the Camden Snow Bowl, and I'm with Jeff Kuhler, who is not only the general manager of the Snow Bowl, but also the head of the Camden Parks and Recreation Commission. So, you know, you wear a couple different hats, don't you?
I do. I've got my winter hat on now, but in the summertime it's a baseball cap that says Camden Parks and Rec.
So I can't help but think that you've gotten off to a really great start this season, getting going before Christmas and also having a great bit of snow right now here as we film the first week in January.
We've been very fortunate. Mother Nature has really helped us out with cold weather first, which was great for snowmaking, and then of course the snow we had over New Year's weekend, almost 2 feet of it was great.
I know. Well, when I think of the Camden Snow Bowl, I think of a few years where there has been, you know, being in this temperate climate along the coast where it's not a done deal that you're going to have snow.
No, especially early in the season.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, how about your own memory of this place? You know, you've been here about 6 years now, haven't you?
This is my 6th winter.
Right.
Yep.
Now, not all of those were banner years for snow, were they?
No, I think I've seen a good range. The first year was a pretty good year. The second year was a dismal year. I can't remember exactly which year was which, but we've seen good and bad and everything in between, yeah.
Well, that leads me to think about the fact that this is, in a way, a unique ski area being right on the coast. Are there others like this on the East Coast, I guess I should say?
There are none other that are quite this close. Well, I guess, come to think of it, Blue Hill outside of Boston is pretty close, but because of their situation, they're not quite as maritime a climate as we are. And honestly, I like to joke about it. If you were going to build a ski area today, you probably wouldn't build one on the coast, because it's so much warmer and wetter than the mountains are. But we make it work. We make a lot of snow. We put a lot of effort into it, and we keep it going. Right.
Well, you know, when I think about this, I also think that you're also somewhat unique, and I don't know if you are unique, but that you are actually a part of, owned by the city of Camden.
Yeah, we're a municipal ski area. There are some around the country, but not very many. There used to be a lot more, but it's a struggle. Small ski areas are always struggling. Sure. They don't have the resources, they don't attract the crowds, so the economics are difficult, but Camden has always been behind this place through thick and thin, and you know, every year they have to vote on a budget for it, and they come through, and it's been here for over 70 years.
I know. When I think my first year here was I was thinking about it, and it was 40 years ago, and I must say that many things are still the same. For instance, the lodge is the exact same lodge that we were in, which is kind of nice, but I understand that there are maybe plans afoot to change that.
Well, there are. The lodge, we're standing next to it, is great. It's iconic. It's this old A-frame. It was built in a hurry because the original lodge, which was a great log building, burned down late one fall. And so they made it through that winter with just a little tiny A-frame here to sell tickets and hot dogs from. And then the next year they built the lodge and raised the money for it. It was never quite completed. It was meant to have 2 additional A-frames attached to it and a second floor, and those things never happened. So we've been living in it for over 40 years in sort of a incomplete building, and now the plan is to actually replace it with a much bigger and more efficient and more functional building for a year-round facility, which is really what this area is.
Well, when I think about the fact that you're Parks and Recreation, I can also think that some of my co-workers are in the summertime mowing lawns and things. So it's kind of nice that it's not just seasonal work for some people. You're able to employ some people year-round.
There are 7 of us full-time year-round, and then in the winter, I just checked this on the payroll, we've got over 80 people on payroll in the wintertime.
Oh my, well, I thought that might be true when I saw how many ski instructors and people were out there doing training a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and then in addition to those 80 paid people, there are a lot of volunteers who ski here as well, and trade skiing privileges for their work, you know, family passes. And
I see the patrollers and
patrollers. There's some instructors, race coaches, a lot of different volunteers. Yep.
Well, when I think of this area, and I think of the Camden Snowball, I can't help but think that when people evaluate whether they should give money to the Camden Snowball, even if it's losing money in the town budget, they must think that it is a fabulous economic development tool for this area.
Well, different people look at it different ways. There are a lot of people that understand the economic value of it. It's a community center, it's in the mountains. Camden is certainly known for its harbor and its downtown, but this facility actually brings a lot of people to the area, not only for skiing in the winter, but in the summer there are a lot of trails here, there's a lot of mountain biking. The lodge is rented out regularly for weddings and reunions. Every weekend, sometimes 2, even 3 times a weekend, there's a rental of the facility. We have some special events here, so it really is a year-round facility. Yeah.
Wow. Well, you know, I have had the opportunity to work here part-time over the past few years as a lift attendant, and I've had a chance to chat with many of the people who come and go skiing, and I was talking to somebody who was had a condo at the Samoset just last week, and so I think of people, you know, who come up here in the wintertime. This does really make this much more of a four-season community.
It does. You know, we're never going to be a big destination resort, and we're not trying to be that.
Right.
But we do see ourselves as a great weekend getaway. We're close to Portland, we're close to Bangor, we're close to Boston, and you know, there's a lot of other nice things to do in the area. There's great restaurants, there's shopping, there's museums. So I think it makes a nice weekend package, actually.
Right. And I also think of, you know, when there are people trying to lure companies to the area, and they say, well, you know, even if you're in Waldo County, because this program mostly airs in the Belfast area, you know, if you've got a ski area within a half hour's drive, I mean, it's only 20 miles, I think, from Belfast. It's you know, it's terrific. I think it really does make it a lure for business.
We hear that all the time, and we'd like to partner with those businesses and help them understand and use this place as they can. Yeah.
So, as part of the Parks and Recreation Department, do you find that it sucks up a lot of your life doing this? It seems like you're open, you know, quite a few hours, especially on the weekends, and you have to be around a lot.
I do. My winters are busy, but really year-round is pretty busy for me. I don't know if sucks up a lot of time is the way I'd quite put it, but there's always something to do here. In the winter, I'm here a lot. I'm here almost every hour that we're open, and we are open 5 days a week plus holidays and vacations. So a lot of weeks are 6 days, sometimes 7 days a week, and they're long days. But I really enjoy it. People, they love coming here. I get lots of great pats on the back for the work that we do. I try to pass them along to you and the other people that work here, the people that really make it happen. But yeah, it's busy. It's busy.
Well, you know, I also think about the fact that you have some great events that take place here in the wintertime. Not probably the biggest one, I think, is the Toboggan Nationals, and that's just a great event if people ever have a chance to, even if they don't participate as tobogganeers. Is it tobogganeers?
Toboggan,
they should come and just see what goes on here, because it's very lively, and it's also, I think, quite a good fundraiser for the mountain, isn't it?
It is. It's got a great history. We have this toboggan chute. We're the last toboggan chute in New England. There used to be a lot of them in small towns.
Really? I didn't know that.
And this one has been rebuilt 3 times, and 20 years ago, when they built the new version of it, on sort of a lark, they said, hey, let's have a national championship. We'll call it that. We'll have an event, and we'll kind of make some noise and have this little winter event. And so they started it with a handful of teams, and it's grown over the years. So now it's a big event. We have 400 teams that sign up for it. People come from all over New England, all over the country, internationally occasionally.
And I just love some of the names of the teams and the way people, you know, dress up for the event. I mean, they, you know, I don't know whether it's Smurfs or whether it's some double entendre in the name.
Night of the Living Sled.
Right, things like that.
There's some great ones.
Yeah, and now when does that take place this year?
It's always the first weekend in February, or in recent years, it's been the first weekend in February, and the sign-ups or the registration check-in is on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday is the racing itself.
And how does that work? Do you have to be an experienced, in training for a long time to be able to be a participant in such a thing as the Nationals?
Well, this is probably one of the very few national contests where you can just sign up off the street with no experience and enter it. Some people take it seriously. They eat a lot of food and drink a lot of beer in preparation for it, put on as much weight as they can because they think that it's all about weight on the sled.
Right. Though I do know a toboggan maker who says it's all in the toboggan and the wax you use.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so there's all sorts of theories.
Lots of theories. I was talking about it today with one of the fellows who's been here all 20 years, and he told me some of his theories, and he kind of winked at me and wouldn't tell me some of his others. So.
Well, there are other events that take place here too. I think how lively things get here vacation week. But you have, like, isn't there a club here that has activities that?
There's a great ski club that is kind of a booster club to this place. They're mostly focused on racing, but they also help with some other events that we do, and. They provide scholarship funds for kids to join our programs and families to get season passes that have trouble affording it.
Oh.
They sponsor pancake breakfasts in the fall that we do with chairlift rides. They do some trips to other ski mountains, and they're very active and great help to this place.
And there's also racing programs. Now, I'm not sure if some of them are through the school systems and some are through the club, but I think Camden does have a ski team.
Oh yeah, yep. Camden Hills High School has a ski team and has for a long time. And I think there's over 30 kids in the team this year. And that's the Alpine side. They also have a Nordic ski team as well. And they race and practice here.
Right.
And in addition, we have sort of middle school level. It's a statewide organization. And then there's a younger level. And so pretty much from age about 7 on up, kids are racing out here.
And another thing I notice is that during the daytime, there's sometimes school buses arrive here.
Oh, every day on weekdays. We have a big 4th grade program.
Oh, how does that work?
Well, again, mostly or heavily supported by the ski club, and the Snowball writes off a lot of the expense of it as well. But we provide 3 ski lessons to pretty much every 4th grade class in Knox County. I think there's one school that we don't have in the program at this point. They just have to bring the kids here, and we provide the lift tickets and the lessons and the rental equipment for them to come 3 times during their school day.
Wow,
and
that's great. They must love that.
The kids love it, the teachers love it, and we love it because that's our future.
Right.
If those kids become lifelong skiers, then they're going to be out here, and that's great.
Now, you mentioned skiers, but when I think about this mountain, I think there's almost, well, I don't know percentage-wise, but there's quite a lot of snowboarders as well.
There are, and I don't know the percentage-wise because we don't really count it. I think nationally it's up around 30–35%.
Well, that seems about my informal tally.
Yep.
But what I think is really neat, when I was here 40 years ago, there was no such thing as a terrain park, and we would try to build little jumps on the slopes. But of course, the ski patrol was a little anxious about us doing that. Now you've got it all worked out, and there are things called elements and things like that.
Yeah, they've got all sorts of names, jibs and hits, and I don't even know half the terminology. But as you said, a while ago, we did everything we could at ski areas to keep people on the ground.
Right.
And now we're building all these things to launch people into the air and have them slide on stuff. And it's similar to skateboarding in a lot of ways.
Right.
But it appeals to a wide range of abilities and ages. And so we're building these obstacles.
Right.
A lot of them are made out of snow, some are made out of wood and iron and
the old
plastic.
rails and things like that. Well, I got to tell you a little anecdote. I have a 7-year-old son, and he's been skiing now for 3 years, and it wasn't but the first year that he would ski with me. After that, he said, "Daddy, you're too slow, and you won't go in the terrain park with me." Well, when you're in your 50s, when you do a tumble, it's not so easy getting up, but boy, he loves the terrain park.
Yeah, I like to go watch, and every once in a while I go ride one of those things, and I shouldn't. You and I are the same age, and it hurts just as much when I fall, believe me. But it's great fun, and it's fun to watch, and there's music playing up there. It's a real scene, and some of the kids that use that don't even use the lift. They ride the lift once to get to it, and then they hike up and down all day.
Wow, now there's good exercise.
It's great exercise. It's a great scene. We always have what we call a terrain park ranger who kind of keeps track of what's going on up there and keeps the peace.
Oh, that's yeah.
And
That must be your sometime harbor master.
our sometime harbor master.
Or maybe he's the always harbor master, but in the wintertime, Steve Pixley is the man who seems to run the terrain
He's
park.
the terrain park manager in the winter, and he's also on our ski patrol, so he too wears lots of hats.
Well, I was going to say that it's really interesting for me to talk to the various folks who work here and see how many people have jobs on the water during the summertime.
Yeah.
I think Les, there's this fellow Les is he the head of the ski patrol?
He's not. He's certainly our senior ski patroller.
Senior ski patroller, but he has a tour boat, and then there's somebody in your office, I think, who works on
Aaron Lincoln owns a schooner OLAD, and he works with us in the winter. Actually, our ski patrol director is a sailor. I would say at least half the ski patrol are sailors or boat people of one ilk or another.
Right. It's always amusing. Just yesterday, I met the assistant harbor master for Rockport, who also is a ski instructor.
Patrol,
so,
right.
Yeah. So it's really great to see how this kind of, you think of Mainers having different ways to make it through to make a living, and this certainly is nice for the people who are not working on their schooners in the winter.
Well, it's a nice compliment.
Yes,
yeah,
it is. It does.
It fits nicely, and actually the runs here are all sort of nautically named and nautically themed.
Muscle Ridge,
and
Clipper, and
Lookout, and Spinnaker, and Northeaster, and all that stuff. And this year we cut a new glade and we named it Scrimshaw.
Sure. Now, for those who are not skiers, what exactly is a glade? Because that is a pretty neat aspect of this mountain, that you have several of them.
Yeah, a glade trail is a wooded trail where we've left the trees. We've taken out the small trees and the underbrush, so you ski between the trees. It's all natural snow. We don't make snow in there, and we can't groom the snow. So the conditions vary a lot, but it's challenging, it's fun.
You might want to wear a helmet.
Yeah, you might want to wear a helmet. But interestingly enough, people assume that the glades are more dangerous, and statistically they're less dangerous than the open slopes.
Sure. Well, we were kind of talking about events that take place here, and we talked there. You have, it seems, like a lot of different sort of things where they're like cookouts and the big freestyle events and things. Tell me a little bit about some of the things that you have going on during the winter.
Well, this weekend we start a couple things. Friday night is our first...
This weekend being...
Oh, this weekend coming up, that's right. It
may not be aired yet. But
yeah, but on January 8th is this Friday, and the Friday night racing program begins. That's a team racing program. I think we've got about 20 teams of 4 to 6 people signed up.
Wow.
And they'll be
all ages or mostly
all
teenagers?
ages? No, actually all ages, from quite young to adults, and we've got family teams, and we've got co-ed teams, and we've got teams that have skiers, snowboarders, and telemarketers on them, and we've got kids-only teams and women-only teams. So there's...
Now, do you organize all that?
I do not. There's a group. It's really led by Jen Conover-Andrus, and she's organizing it, but a lot of people help out with it, a lot of volunteers.
So volunteers, it sounds like, are an important part of this mountain.
Big part of the snowball, always have been, and I think always will be, yep. So that's the first thing. And then on Saturday, we have our first alpine ski race that's sponsored by the ski club. And that's, again, open to everybody.
Sure. And moving ahead a little bit, because this probably, you have some other events. One of the things I remember is some of the things for kids, where there were little races with cones and things. Do you know that there's a special day for that too, isn't there?
We have we have a spring fling that we hold in early March, which has racing and a terrain park event. We have a few terrain park events during the season. We've mentioned the Toboggan National Championships. We have a downhill bike race.
Really? When's that?
We held it last year, and we'll have it again this year. It's part of a series, actually. It is the Sunday at the end of the February vacation week.
So people are on bicycles in the snow?
On bicycles in the snow, racing 4 at a time through a slalom course. It's
Wow, I gotta check
great
that
fun to
out.
watch, and a lot of spills and thrills. But because it's snow, it's pretty forgiving. And actually, this year it's 2 events, and the second event will be a straight time trial, top to bottom of a slope as fast as you can.
Wow.
Yeah, that'll
Sounds
be
dangerous.
interesting.
There you want to wear your helmet.
Yeah.
Well, stepping back a little bit about the different ways that people can come here and ski, you do have a lot of night skiing here now, don't you?
Yeah, we have night skiing Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night until 8. So night tickets are 3 to 8.
Okay.
And you'll see the lights come on in a few minutes here.
Right.
Some people, that's all they do is ski in the evenings
Right.
because they're working during the day. And
Well, speaking of working during the day, one of my favorite ways to play hooky is to take the 2-hour lunch skis. Do you still offer that?
we do one of the best deals around for 2 hours, any 2 hours between 10 and 3 on a weekday, not vacation week, but our regular weekdays. For just $12, you can ski. So a lot of people play hooky for long lunch or
Right. I
whatever.
mean, if you ski hard, you can get a lot of skiing in.
You can get a lot of skiing in 2 hours. Yep,
Sure.
It's a great deal.
Well, now, another thing that we touched on, because you mentioned that you have plans to replace this wonderful lodge, but you have plans to do a little bit more than just replace the lodge, correct?
Oh, absolutely. We're calling it the redevelopment project for the Ragged Mountain Recreation Area. So the Snowball, by the way, is part of the Ragged Mountain Recreation Area.
Oh, now, what is also a part of it besides
Well,
the snowball?
the other parts, some things we're looking at, the ball field, the boat landing and
Oh, okay.
swim area,
The pond.
the pond
yeah.
access, yep, that's all part of the Ragged Mountain Recreation Area.
And I also seem to recall that you do have developed more of a mountain bike type of activities here now, right?
Yes, we have, there's mountain bike racing, there's a very active bike club that's really built most of the mountain bike trails, and they're operating pretty much whenever there's not snow on the ground,
Right.
and we work very closely with them.
So, talking about these plans, I know that there's going to be a big rollout of these plans, and we're not really ready to talk in great detail about them. But I was excited to, as an employee here, you were taking a lot of ideas from everybody on what might be, you know, part of such a plan. And I know one of the criticisms, I mean, this is a wonderful place for families, of course, but if you're just starting out, once you get off the what we call the mighty might, the beginner slope, the next step is not is
all the way up the
is all the
chairlift.
way up the chairlift, and it's not the beginner slope.
No.
So
No.
I'm hoping that when the new development happens, that there may be more of a beginner slope. Is that part of what?
Well,
you think?
we'll do that for you, Ned.
Thank you very much.
But actually, that's a big part of it. This redevelopment includes a new lodge, but it also includes improvements to the ski operations.
Okay.
I can tell you a few things that we're working on right
Yeah,
now
why
without
don't
going
you?
into a lot of detail, but we have 2 T-bars here, and T-bars are lifts that is shaped like a T, and you
Right.
lean it against the backside, your backside, and it sort of pulls you up the slope on your ski or snowboard.
Right, and the snowboarders, it was designed in an era before snowboards because
snowboarding.
it's not fun for a snowboarder to
No.
go on the big T all the way to the top.
Yeah, and also because the lift lines are narrow, it's difficult to make snow on them. So it's
right.
not an easy lift to maintain. So the plan is to remove both of the T-bars
Oh, okay.
and to basically replace them with chairlifts. So what we're talking about is taking this chairlift behind us
Okay.
and moving it to where the short T-bar is right now.
Oh, okay.
So shortening the chairlift, and
So
then
it'll take you right up to the terrain park, maybe.
up to the level of the terrain park, and we're going to build a whole new, what we're calling a beginner pod over in that area with new trails
Oh, that's
built
great.
into the mountain, and then a new little handle toe lift, or actually ideally a magic carpet lift, a conveyor
oh, yes.
belt lift.
I'm familiar with those. Those
Yep.
are great.
Where you can just step on and it's like
Right.
walk. Or,
Right, it's like being in at one of those big airports, you know,
Right.
where they get whisked along just
exactly,
standing there.
very user friendly for beginners.
Yeah. This is
So
gonna
that's
cost
part
some
of it.
money, isn't it?
It's going to cost some money. Let me explain a couple more things, and then we'll get
Okay.
into the cost a little bit.
Sure.
But one big improvement is to actually add another chairlift to this facility,
Oh.
a triple or a 4-person chairlift that will go all the way to the top with the best
that will
views.
be so great. I mean, this place does have the best views when it's a day like today and you can look out over the bay and see the islands. It's just great. So that's terrific.
Yeah, so it'll be a faster lift with more uphill capacity and easier for us to maintain, so we're really looking forward to that. And then we'll add some more snowmaking. Right now we have snowmaking on about 40% of our terrain. We want to get that up to about 80 or 85% of the terrain, because as you mentioned earlier, there's not always good snow here all winter, so we've got to make our own.
Yep. It is surprising, though, how well the snow does hold up, even when you've had that most recent rain. It still has been, it's amazing.
The artificial snow is very dense, and it can stand up to rain and thaw really well. So actually, we make our snow at the beginning of the season, and then we stop.
Right.
And we don't have to make it for the rest of the year. So,
well, Jeff, we've only got a couple minutes left, so you've talked about the basics now of what's going to hopefully happen here. Do you want to talk about the finances, how it's going to happen financially at all?
Right now we're looking at about a $6.5 million price tag for all those improvements, which is a lot of money. Right,
but you know, when you think about it, it still seems like you're getting a lot for that $6 million.
Well, we are. I think we will get a lot for that. A lot of it will be raised privately, and the plan right now is to raise $4.5 million privately and through some grant funding, and then go back to the voters in Camden to bond about a $2 million piece of that. So if it all works, and we're pretty confident it's going to work.
I hope so.
The town of Camden and the surrounding communities will get a $6.5 million facility for the cost of $2 million. Wow,
that's terrific, Jeff. Well, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. As you viewers may tell, I'm a little bit biased. This has been my home ski area for many a year, and I even work here part-time. So if you haven't come here and you are a skier, you really should stop and ski at the Snowball. It's a great place, and a great place for families. And thank you very much, Jeff.
Oh, thank you, Ned. It's great to have you, and thanks for coming and visiting.
Okay, great.